Welcome again to discussion. My name is JOAN KIRERA, and today we are going to be looking at children and how to tell if children are okay or how to tell children are not okay at this time. We are all affected by the COVID-19, and the strange thing is most parents imagine their children are supposed to be going about life in the normal way, while the adults are going through their own emotions and the tough emotions that come with this pandemic. Now, the strange thing is, when we expect children to be just fine, we are taking them through a very tough journey because they do not get support from the parents. Now, children, just like adults, are going through their own process in this time of the pandemic. So how can you tell if your children are well? I'm going to be mentioning some of the signs to watch out for, so that should you realize they are not well, then you will find best ways to support them, learn how to support them, or then you can send them to be assessed and probably treated by a professional. Behind me here are toys, and these are the ones that are used to take children through therapy, because children, unlike adults, cannot communicate how they feel. Just like they cannot communicate how they feel in the home setup, even when they come to therapy, they cannot communicate. So we allow them to use this kind of toys so that they can play, so that we are able to see the emotions they are bringing out through play. So what are some of the signs to watch out for? Sign number one is children tend to act out when they are going through a very difficult time. That can be any form of crisis. It can be through separation. It can be a loss of a sibling, a loved one, a parent. It can even be crisis like this pandemic. So what is it that we are going to look out for to see if children are acting out? Number one is dangerous behavior. I have heard very many parents complaining that children are doing things that are very harmful, going over and swinging on the edges and climbing very dangerous equipments, and being in a position where they are exposed. And when a child begins to suddenly behave like that, then something must have changed in their life. Behavior does not happen in a vacuum. There has to be something that influences certain behavior. So when you see children are going out to do some things that they were not doing before, dangerous behaviors, if they're riding a bike, they have become very rough and they're exposing themselves to harm, that is a pointer that the child is not well. The other pointer that the child is not well, that I will put under acting out, is hyperactivity. When a child is all over, restless, they do not sit, they are all over the place, they are climbing, they are doing, they are always on the move. And most of the time, always on the move, hitting on stuff, pouring on others, is a sign that a child is not well, especially if they have not been that kind of child. So we are focusing on the behavior change, not what a child has been. If a child has been hyperactive all along, if a child has been having dangerous behavior all along, then this one needs to be assessed by someone who deals with children, and then you can be helped to take them through the process. Then the other part of acting out is agitation, tantrums. Then you're realizing children have become more agitated. Anything small, they become too emotional, they become too angry, and they're throwing tantrums. Certain things that never used to bother them suddenly have become an area of bother, especially for those who are having more than one child. You notice that they are becoming too affected. If you're giving attention to one child, then this could be a pointer that the child is not okay. Others have taken up to punching, to beating, to biting. If these behaviors were not present in the child previously, then there is a sign that the child is not doing very well. So acting out is anything they feel from within, they project it on the outside, or whatever they are feeling from the inside, it comes out as inappropriate behavior. And this just doesn't happen to children, it also happens to adults. Even when adults during this crisis, they do the same. You find you're feeling angry, you're feeling some negative emotions that weren't there before. So it's the same for children. So the second part of how to tell if a child is doing okay is what I will call regression. And regression is going to a previous behavior that they had already passed. So this regression involves children going back to crying so that their parents can hold them. We're talking about children who are already school-going children. Children are crying a lot and soiling their clothes. The children who had already mastered the toilet training and would comfortably take themselves to the toilet, then suddenly are back to peeing on themselves and soiling their clothes. And the parent is wondering what is happening with this child. And most of the time, parents take to spanking or disciplining because they take this as a method of, as a way of the child showing they have no discipline. But oftentimes, there is something that the child is experiencing from within that is causing them to not to be able to do the things that they used to do. There is also bedwetting. For those who had already stopped bedwetting, they go back to it. And there's also clinging to be fed, going back to crawling. For children who had already mastered walking, if it's happening continuously, then it means that the child is going through something. So let's look at the general performance. Generally speaking, these are the points that we'll be looking out for to help you understand or evaluate if your child is well or if your child is not doing okay. The number one of them is poor concentration. Most of the times when you look at your child, you're able to tell how well or how much they are able to concentrate on a certain task. So you are evaluating their performance, you are evaluating their concentration based on what has been there before. If a child has been concentrating well and they were able to finish a task, say homework, say some form of play, say some form of a creative activity, or even whatever task you give them at home, but now you realize that they are not able to, they pick this, they pick this, they pick this, and they pick this. And in the poor concentration is also the aspect of forgetfulness. When you send them to go pick something, they come back and they're like, what had you sent me? Or they bring something else altogether. Instead of punishing them, it is okay to sit and ask, what is happening in the environment of this child that is causing them this poor concentration? There's also the aspect of acting scared, that when a door opens, when there's some noise somewhere, they get startled. Or when something is happening, probably it's nighttime and all of a sudden they can't go to bed alone. They're afraid, they want you to accompany to bed and even, sing or read a story or, sit there so that they can fall asleep. Then there is an aspect of their system that is disturbed, and therefore it's time to realize that your child is not okay. There's learning difficulties, especially those who are homeschooling. Then you notice a child is not concentrating, they're not getting what you say. You repeat again, and it's becoming a point of agitation for you as the trainer or the parent or the teacher. And so you need to understand that if this has not been previously happening, then there could be challenges they are undergoing from internally, and so they need specific kind of help other than punishment. There's also the aspect of withdrawal. They do not want to play anymore. They are disinterested in the things that they used to love a lot, say riding the bike or engaging in some form of play or even playing with the siblings, but now they are totally disinterested. They seem to be wanting to be alone and to do their own thing. Then that is a pointer that something internally is not okay with the child. There's also the repetitive play, when a child will take a track and keep moving in one corner and riding in one corner, and they're not going to other places if originally they were all over the place kind of a person. So if you notice they are stuck at one activity, or they seem to be wanting to repeat a certain movie, a certain cartoon, that repetitive behavior, they are into repetition. If they ride around these places is what they want to paint a certain image and just one of them, and before they were playful and they were a bit all over the place, or they were engaging well, then that is a pointer that the internal environment is not okay. Poor eating habits. They are eating too little, they do not want to eat, or they are eating way too much. Notice that it is okay for children to eat a little more, especially when they are at home. But when a child is taking one plate of what they took, then they repeat another one in one meal, that is a pointer that something in the internal environment is not okay. But if they are eating after 20 minutes, then they want to pick something else, and after some other time, this is normal. This is what is normal within staying at home, because they will keep biting. That's normal. But when they are eating too much within a certain period, when they would be satisfied with a certain amount, then that is a pointer that that child is not doing well on the inside. There's also sleep disturbance. Sleeping too much. There are children who are sleeping in this season, sleeping the whole night, the whole morning, and the whole afternoon. Then that again is a pointer that the child is not well. Then again, if a child is sleeping too little, they wake up very many times in the night and they are full, they ate to fill, they are not sick, they are not wet, then that again is a pointer that the child is not doing very well. There are also complaints that they are having stomach aches, that they are having headaches, and these ones cannot be medically proved. When you take them to hospital, they don't seem to be sick in any way. That is a pointer that something is not okay on the inside. Then there's also refusing to talk. A child who was very talkative all over the place doesn't want to engage anymore. They want to sit and say nothing. They are very dull and gloomy. They are also cranky. Then that is a pointer that the internal environment of the child is not okay. And so we keep thinking, but wait a minute, why would children be going through anxiety? Why would even children get depressed? We forget that the children's wellness is shaped largely by the environment where they are placed. Now, in this season of COVID-19, we are all going through something. Our emotions are all over the place. Either it is anxiety, we are afraid of something that is happening, and sometimes it's just in the, a fear that things may get worse. The uncertainties, emotions, because we don't know how long this is going to take. Sometimes we are angry because of the certain spaces we are placed. Some are going through loss because they have lost work. And this same environment is the one that children get shaped. So children are affected by the environment where they are placed. If it is a safe, warm, accepting environment, then children feel safe. But when they coexist in an environment with people who are anxious, who are fearful, who are depressed, who are going through loss, those exact emotions are the ones they experience, because we pass a lot of negative vibe around them. So then how can you support these children? First of all is by ensuring that your environment is safe and being able to deal with whatever it is that you're faced with as adults. And especially when the relationships in the family are conflicted, then we are setting our children for a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty, and in some cases depression, because they internalize these emotions. They do not know how to filter, so they imagine the family is suffering because something is wrong with them. So one of the things that we can do to help our children feel safe, we need to create a safe environment where as adults we take care of ourselves, and number two, we become calm and supportive with them, as opposed to becoming aggressive and punishment oriented. So realize that your child is going through something, and ask yourself, when you go through certain things, how do you like to be supported? They want to be held more, they want to be comforted more, they want to be given more warmth. Again, they need a lot of firmness, but with love. As opposed to punishment, you need to spell out the limits when they cross them and be very clear that this is not acceptable, without necessarily spanking or shouting or threatening, because in so doing we are increasing the anxiety that already exists in their system. So as a parent, you need to be more calm and firm, more loving and supportive than looking out to punish them. The way of discipline is to train them, show them what is it you want them to do, and allow them the time. Be patient with them, as also you check through your environment. If you're not okay, you cannot offer okayness to children. But if you are fine, you are able to offer this exact climate, safe, warmth, accepting, non-judgmental and friendly environment to your children.